Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to We Believe Digital Newsbreak, 1:30 on Tuesday afternoon. We are 1 week away from voting day, and everybody's getting ready to get out and vote. Some methods of voting are already happening now, so we're glad to see that, and we're glad to see you checking us out here on We Believe Digital. Got an amazing platform here, all kinds of opportunities for you to get your message out and move your brand forward. Podcast shows, commercials, all kinds of placement opportunities, videographers, just working really hard towards the ultimate goal of becoming a full-fledged media company of choice here in Jackson. We have partnerships, the strongest, most enduring among them, with the Mississippi Link newspaper, which is now 29 years going, just celebrated its anniversary, and we work closely with the Mississippi Link, also with Primestone Media, 16 Bar Studio, all kinds of partners to make sure you get your needs met in getting your products, services put out in the public, so this can help you to grow. So for this Newsbreak show today, my name is Chris Young. I'll be your host, and got just a few items on the global front. The Powerball, lots of people interested in the Powerball. No winner on yesterday for the Powerball. So the prize is soaring up to $1.2 billion. So man, oh man, I guess if you're inclined to get tickets for the Powerball, now is the time. In Brazil, the country that I visited back in the late 80s, beautiful country, visited 3 places there. Lula, a former president, has been reelected, and he's left-leaning as opposed to the guy Bolsonaro that had been in there most recently, and apparently just by a 2% margin, but it looks like President Lula will be reinstalled as the president of Brazil. On the national front, the Capitol Police are signaling that they need to. Now, this is the Capitol Police in D.C. Signaling that they need to have more officers, more staff, due to the present climate. So apparently, with the insurrection deal from January 6th and other much smaller incidents that have come up, they've decided that they need to have more staff. So they're asking Congress for more funding to hire more officers. The Chief Roberts of the Supreme Court of the United States just recently, but temporarily, shielding the former President Trump tax records from the House Ways and Means Committee. Apparently, a lower court had ruled that they could be provided those tax records, but apparently somebody got in there and argued against that. So the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States has put a temporary shield on Mr. Trump's tax records. Arizona is in the news all the time on the politics, and so there was a libertarian candidate, which is typically not going to be the biggest draw, but that libertarian candidate has just dropped out of the race, but throws their weight behind Blake Masters, who's the Republican candidate out there running against Democrat Mark Kelly for the Senate race. And Mark Kelly, his wife is that lady Gabrielle Giffords, who was attacked and shot in the head and is still recovering from injuries years and years later. Mark Kelly's a retired Navy captain and former astronaut on the Democratic side. So this Blake Masters is running against him, and the Libertarian candidates backing out, but put in their weight behind Masters. Some rifts going on in the reading about in the GOP. Prominent Republicans warning that Trump should not run again, and that's former Speaker Paul Ryan of Wisconsin, former Governor Jeb Bush, Florida, and Mike Pence, who's got a new book coming out, kind of a bit of a, not completely dedicated to his time as vice president, but an awful lot of it, and a bit of a tell-all. It looks like. So interesting that that's coming out right now. When we move down into Mississippi, the governor announced yesterday that he's calling a special session tomorrow for related to business development in the Golden Triangle up to the northeast, and that's interesting. So that's quite an endeavor when you have a special session. Costs an awful lot of money because you're going to now pay per diem to all these folks coming in when they're not typically scheduled to come in, all these legislators. And but the governor said he was hoping it could be pulled off in one day. So that's a special session tomorrow. I know he thumbed his nose at the idea of a special session being called over the Jackson water crisis. But now there's some company, it looks like an aluminum company, where he claimed that going to be 1,000 new jobs in the Golden Triangle, and that the average salary will be $93,000 for these new jobs, for these 1,000 new jobs. And I'm like, oh, wow. That's interesting. Who going to get to have those jobs, and who's not going to get to have any access to those types of jobs? So curious to see the name of the company so we can research that and get that back to you the next time we meet. Greenwood LaFleur Hospital, threatened with closure. UMMC wants to, people said buy them out, but it's actually a lease. It has to be approved by the IHL, the Institution of Higher Learning here in Mississippi. But, that had reached a standstill. But now the city of Greenwood and the county have both ponied up $4.5 million each, $9 million to help, I think, pay off debt, which should make it more attractive for UMMC to be able to pursue the lease of the Greenwood LaFleur Hospital. So many hospitals having closed in the Delta, so at this stage of the game, I mean, it seemed like anything we can do to keep those hospitals open is going to be a life-saving endeavor. So definitely want to let you guys know about that. We'll be hearing more about that for sure. The annual Hobnob event at the Coliseum drew 1,000 people. Now, this was last Thursday, and the insurance commissioner, Cheney, and Delbert Hosemann, the lieutenant governor, spoke about possible support for expanding Medicaid. This state being one of 13 states that's refused to expand Medicaid, it really shoots itself in the foot financially. And of course, morally, you're keeping hundreds of thousands of poor people with no ability to get seen. It's just a devastating thing. And really, when you look at the numbers, if Mississippi could bring itself to make this decision to expand Medicaid, not only not only would hundreds of thousands of people get basic health insurance that they're just too poor to have it now, but the federal government would be paying 93% of the bill for that. And so how do you turn down an offer like that? One source, the name is escaping me right now, but they said that this year alone, Mississippi left $2 billion on the table by not expanding Medicaid. So it sounds like Cheney and Hoseman very interested in supporting it at this point. The Governor Reeves and the Speaker Gunn show no signs of supporting it. So we'll just have to see, how that turns out. The other thing too that we're very hopeful will be coming up in this new session starting in January is the postpartum care. And in Mississippi, the way it stands right now, so if you're poor, you don't have insurance, and you're pregnant, you can get there's a carve out there for Medicaid, totally paid for by the government, and so you can get your prenatal care and your delivery and postnatal care for 2 months, and then the insurance clicks off. And the more we learn about this, I mean, the devastating deaths that come to new mothers in Mississippi, the vast majority all happen within the first year, not the first 2 months. And so there's efforts underway to expand Medicaid, postpartum extension or carve out, however you want to say it, so that those new moms, these are poor moms, and of course in Mississippi, that means predominantly black moms, and so they can have health insurance until the baby is 1 year old. See, the baby's already covered by Medicaid. The baby's going to get their care, but the care for the mother herself, So when we don't take actions like this, especially when they're paid for almost entirely by the federal government, what we're doing is we're putting mothers in caskets. And some of these folks talk about a culture of life in Mississippi, but putting mothers in caskets is not a culture of life now. So we really got to think that thing through, and hopefully that's going to get brought up and find a way to pass in this upcoming session that starts in January. Last year, the Senate passed it almost unanimously, but the Speaker of the House let it die on the vine, never let it come up for a discussion in the House of Representatives that he controls. So that's an awful lot of power for one man to have. God bless him. Christian man, mothers in caskets, Christianity. Don't get it. Don't get how those two go together. So hey, let's take a quick break here. It's a good stopping point. 14 minutes into the show, and then we'll be right back shortly.
Let's read and learn together. Meet Mason. Written by Sherry Tate. Illustrated by David. Mason is a young, inspired learner. Walk with him as he uses his 5 senses to explore the world around him. Your young one can learn to identify shapes, numbers, letters, and more with Meet Mason. Available now on Amazon.com.
My name is Wendy Wilson White. I'm a candidate for Hinds County Circuit Court Judge District 2. I was born here and I stayed here. I'm a graduate of Provine High School, Tougaloo College, and Mississippi College School of Law. I've been practicing law here in Jackson and Hinds County since 2001. I have 21 years of trial and courtroom experience, and for the past 8 years, I've been prosecuting crime. I'm running for Circuit Court Judge because I want to redefine justice. We don't deserve to feel unsafe on the streets of Jackson and Hinds County, and you don't deserve to see your families and loved ones killed. We deserve to have a judicial system we can all believe in. And you deserve to have a judge who will hold people accountable. People who live with mental illness deserve fair treatment from our judicial system. We need to educate our children about crime and how they will be held responsible for their actions. We deserve to see our children grow old. They should not be defendants or victims of crime at such early ages. You deserve a judge who is fair and impartial, experienced, and dedicated to the places you and I call home. I want to be the difference our city, county, and court deserve. On November 8th, I need your vote. Please vote Wendy Wilson White, WWW, Hinds County Circuit Court Judge, District 2.
The Mississippi Link an African-American female-owned newspaper with a trusted voice that is highly respected throughout the city, state, and nation. Our motto, keepers of the knowledge for people who speak the truth, since 1993. Significantly influences the thoughts, attitudes, and buying decisions of its readers. Call us at 601-368-8481 for your advertising needs. If you would like to receive a newspaper in the mail each week, our annual subscription is only $52 per year. That is only $1 per week for you to stay informed regarding many stories that you can only get in the Mississippi Link. Sign up today at themississippilink.com and click on Home Delivery.
And welcome back. Welcome back to We Believe Digital Newsbreak. We're just picking up where we're left off. May have mentioned it last week on Wednesday, but mentioned again a longtime downtown Jackson restaurant and live entertainment venue, Hal and Mal's, has been sold. The new owners take over today, November 1st, and they're the current owners also of the Campbell's Bakery up in Fondren. Damien and Mary, looks like Kavicki, hope I'm pronouncing that right, taking over today. So apparently there's going to be a lot of emphasis on maintaining, a lot of the things that go on over there at Hal and Mal's. It's a great place to go. Very diverse, I know, on Monday nights with the Central Mississippi Blues Society is there on Monday nights. Sometimes there's other special events going on. But I know the new owners have said that Mr. White will stay on in an advisory capacity, and also they plan on extending out on weekend hours. Lately, unless there's a special event, the weekend hours are kind of curtailed, so they want to open those back up again. So that's some good news for folks in Jackson and around Mississippi that know about Hal and Mal's. Last night, the Poor People's Campaign was back in Jackson again for the third time in the last 7 weeks. Reverend William Barber is really a force to be reckoned with. He hails from North Carolina, but certainly works in different areas around the country. Justice issues of equality and justice, and he's really comes armed with the facts. You really can't pull anything over his wool over his eyes. He's really bright, and he really knows how to fire up the crowd. Was a good crowd there last night, maybe a little bit less than the time before, but with yesterday being Halloween, it was all about, we had enough of the tricks, on this water crisis, had enough of the tricks, and now we're really ready for the truth. And you had some wonderful impacted speakers that showed up down there. Had a 7th grader from Bailey APEC Middle School, Miss Abdul Tawab, just so articulate, 7th grader, so articulate. A lady named Christy Dunaway spoke from the disability community. Pastor Hosea Hines, formerly of College Hill, and now of Christ Tabernacle Church here in Jackson. He just really fired people up, brought the house down. You had Miss Quiros, the Immigrant Alliance Justice and Equity Organization, speaking in Spanish and getting lots and lots of call and response from Spanish-speaking audience members. She did have an interpreter there for everybody else, but that was really interesting. And a retired pastor, Alvin Jackson, was also a very strong speaker. Maybe the most touching part of the night, though, I have to tell you, the Reverend Barber called the clergy up to the stage, up to the front of the stage, and then he asked young people to come up and pair off with them. And there were about 40 cheerleaders from Lanier High School. And so next thing you know, they're gathering up these bottles of nasty, dirty water that people had brought from their homes. And they're walking, the clergy and the young people are walking up in pairs away from the rally stage to the front gate of the governor's mansion, and then left those nasty bottles of water right there at the foot of the front gate of the governor's mansion. So pretty strong message. About time to prioritize the basics here in Jackson. And I'll have writing on that coming out in the Mississippi Link if I can manage to get it past my publisher. And that'll be coming out tomorrow evening. Poor People's Campaign, visit number 3. Saturday was an amazing day, not without problems in Jackson. Never a day without problems. But man, oh man, College Game Day coming to Jackson, Mississippi. Undefeated JSU Tigers, a rivalry match against Southern University. JSU's final home game of the season. All the seniors were brought out, their families, their presentations were made. It was an amazing day. Threats of rain, but to have College Game Day here, which drew in, tens of thousands more people than usual, just invigorating the city, bringing all kinds of extra revenue into the city. It was said that it was just impossible to find a hotel room for 100 miles around Jackson. Everything was booked up. Coach Prime on College Game Day, we're not just going to win. Our plan is to dominate. And that's what they did. It sure didn't look like it the first few possessions of the game. I was really concerned about it. I did bring my raincoat though, because they said that rain was coming, and it did come. So drenched, drenched from the waist down, but it was a good old time up there in the general admission seats. And Jackson State pulled off the victory, 35-0. Then there was I want to say middle of the fourth quarter is when the Lightning threats came, and so they cleared the players off the field. And the bands tried to do a boombox challenge. Then they moved them off the field. I think all total it was about a 2-hour delay, and somewhere in there is when I decided to take off. But what an amazing day to have in Jackson, to be there in the middle of that. There's just so much love and so much pride, and different organizations, God bless them, walking out there on the field, delivering these checks to Jackson State for thousands of dollars to help with the athletic program. There's always talk about, who knows, maybe we'll get a new stadium, but that stadium certainly looked to me like it was filled to capacity. And then you had the whole other thing going on out in the parking lot with the game day activities. So you had thousands more people out there. It was really, really something else. So, so that's the story today from Newsbreak. And we really Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back with you tomorrow at 5 p.m. Hope you have a great day out there today in Jackson and the surrounding areas, and stay safe.